Let's review how to reduce or simplify fractions. To simplify a fraction is to rewrite it in its lowest terms. Put another way, we reduce a fraction like 6/8 to an equivalent fraction that can be reduced no further. So what's the procedure for rewriting 6/8 into 3/4? A fraction can be simplified if the numerator and denominator have a factor in common, where that factor is greater than 1. The factors of a number are those numbers that can divide evenly into it. That means factors come in pairs, because we can multiply each of the numbers in the pair to get the original number. So for 6, we know that 1 and 6 multiply to get 6, and we also know that 2 and 3 multiply to get 6. And for 8, we have 1 and 8, of course, but we also have 2 and 4. Now that we have our factors, let's take a look to see if they have any in common that are greater than 1. Well, they certainly do. Both 6 and 8 have 2 as a factor. That means our fraction, 6/8, can be simplified further. To simplify 6/8, let's go back to the two lists of factors. We need to divide the numerator and the denominator by the largest factor that they share in common. In this case, it's 2. So we'll divide 6 by 2 and 8 by 2, their greatest common factor. 6 divided by 2 is 3, and 8 divided by 2 is 4. And so we have our result, 3/4. We know that 3/4 cannot be simplified any further because the only factors in 3 are 1 and 3, and the factors in 4 are 1, 2, 2, and 4. The only factor they have in common is 1. So there are no factors we can use to simplify 3/4 any further. Let's try another example. To see if we can simplify 16/20, let's take a look at the factors of both 16 and 20. 16 has factors of 1 and 16, of course, 2 and 8, and 4 and 4. 20 has factors of 1 and 20, 2 and 10, and 4 and 5. Comparing the two lists, we see that they do indeed have factors in common. Each has a 2, and each has a 4. That means 16/20 can be simplified or reduced. As before, we want to find the greatest common factor. And of all these numbers they have in common, the largest is 4. So we'll divide 16 by 4 and 20 by 4. 16 divided by 4 is 4, and 20 divided by 4 is 5. 4/5 can't be reduced any further because the only factor that 4 and 5 have in common is 1. Well, thanks for joining me. I'll see you next time at the MathCraft Math Lab.